When you look at Toyota, there's just a lot happening over there. And you can tell that they've got like money. It's just like the kid that keeps showing up with the newest camera at the car shows, yet their first name, last name photography only seems to have like 300 new followers. And you're kind of just concerned because they only have 3 paid clients, and you know the 3 of them, it's the same 3 friends. So you're just kind of figuring out why in the hell and how did they manage to do that. You're curious about where it's coming from, but you are happy that he's or she is happy. Like, you know, potato, whatever. That's Toyota and the car community right now, because they are loaded, and you can tell it because they're making sports cars. So while the Walter White of the car industry right now is producing absolute heaters, there's one car that's hit the industry list that has the community starstruck. I'm Alex, and today we're gonna be talking about the absolutely next tic-tac-tear to come from Toyota. We're talking about you wanting to own a 2023 Toyota GR Corolla. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, and suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. There may not be a GR Corolla yet in the gallery, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some badass Corollas in there. So if you need some inspiration, be sure to check out the gallery, as well as you can figure out what looks best on the GR Corolla that you're probably never gonna own, but you will pick up a normal Corolla because that's actually available. And then you can get your wheels, tires, and suspension from Fitment Industries. Max has a Corolla, I think. It looks pretty good. Not GR. The Toyota Corolla GR is a bean on steroids. It's built with the heritage and motorsport of Gazoo Racing, a division within Toyota Motor Corporation that was founded in 2007. Toyota GR sounds fancy, big, expensive, and seems to have a huge organization, but when it was founded, it really wasn't. In fact, in 2007, it just consisted of student test drivers and mechanics that was led by Hiromu Naruse. Hopefully I got that right. Who is a test driver of Toyota. They managed to compete in the 24-hour Nürburgring race with Akio Toyoda, with a D, as well as who was the VP of Toyota at the time. Now, because it was fresh and not officially backed with all the red tape, consumerism, Toyota name, they couldn't really call it Works Toyota Racing, which the Works is what typically differentiates a corporation backing a racing team for motorsport competition. And because they didn't have that, they instead used the word Gazoo and began its life with driver nicknames. Like literally every single person in the name had a different nickname, and they had a tiny budget. They had Altezas and E90 race cars, which were in an old website that looked like it was from WordPress from 2009. Over time, Gazoo Racing gained popularity both in the public eye, but more importantly, in the eyes of Toyota. The organization began to see the value of having Gazoo Racing involved in racing and using their results primarily at the Nürburgring to help with new car development, and then bragging about it to people like you and people like me. Once Toyoda, with a D, took the office as president of Toyota in 2009, that's with a T, Gazoo Racing expanded even more so and began getting into more professional racing development. By 2015, Gazoo Racing had Toyota Racing, Lexus Racing, and Gazoo Racing all underneath one roof, and from there, the conglomerate began to produce cars that struck the news in shock while giving the necessary feedback to keep Toyota's sports models lineup of cars still sporty, because Toyota has kind of been going through a weird thing where it was getting way too mainstream. Gazoo Racing helped make them, you know, fun and hip. So when GR got their first hands on the trim with the Toyota, also known as the GR Supra, it was no surprise that we'd see more GR series cars from Toyota in the following years. You know the noise that the GR Yaris made in 2020, a manual build process that created the first Yaris that would pretty much make anyone happy to go to Toyotathon. In 2021, we finally see the news of the GR Corolla, but unlike the Yaris, the Corolla will be sold in the United States, and that's good because there are only 32 people that really want to buy a new hot hatch in the US when they're looking at comparison to an SUV, and here we are. In a world where 240SXs are $25,000 and 993 Porsches now cost more than classic Lamborghinis. The world has become a place that's a little bit odd for cars. Probably the oddest decision was to introduce a GR Corolla to the US market. Even though it's exciting, it's not that popular. And fun fact for those garage nights, the GR Corolla was actually delayed by a year because Toyoda, with a D, the CEO, wasn't satisfied with the prototype that he drove. Now, that's pretty badass when the CEO, an accomplished racing driver, happened to be directly involved in this release. So the GR Corolla ended up featuring a small 1.6 liter turbocharged straight 3-cylinder, 1.6 liter, 300 horsepower, high 200 foot-pounds of torque on a tiny little wheelbase. Came with a 6-speed manual transmission and GR4, an all-wheel drive system that was developed for the Yaris with a standard distribution of 60-40 for power that can be changed to 30-70 if you like to party like Ryan Turk at Formula Drift. His car's probably not stock though. Now let me tell you, the world absolutely flipped. A tiny little 3-cylinder, all-wheel drive, 6-speed, 300 horsepower, tic-tac I'm not talking about TikTok, I'm talking about Tic Tac, and it looks fun as hell. You can absolutely they look so cool. You can buy a base model or circuit edition, and you get a 1-year membership to the National Autosport Association with an HPDE event included. The car, let me repeat, will be one of the highest demanded vehicles in the United States this year and next. But that's inherently the problem. The problem isn't that it's a new car and likely to exceed any budget people like you and people like me have. It's not the problem that it's not likely going to have issues, because it just will. The problem isn't that there's just so much cool shit on the car. The problem is that this goddamn car will be unavailable, and it'll be like getting a party hat at a party room, and it'll be like the Elden Ring bosses that you'll never die from because you're just that good. I'm still stuck on Renala. It's like the second boss. It'll be like getting a USB plug-in right the way, like the first time. It'll be just impossible to actually get your hands on them unless you happen to be somebody that's connected to Toyota. So you want a GR Corolla. Well, set down your credit card and pick up your gambling addiction, because that's what this is gonna feel like if you do want to jump into one of these brand new cars. The GR Corolla, which is what Batman would drive his weekly It's Not a Phase meeting, is a heater, and Toyota knows this. The production numbers that have been getting thrown out is right around 6,500 units over the first 12 months. Now, Motor Trend stated that only 1,500 of the 65 will be circuit models, and that was done by purpose by Mike Tripp, the VP of Marketing, following the new fad of the 1-2-few marketing model for everything that they make. What makes it worse for people like us in the upper Midwest is that Toyota allocation process for cars are by regions, not by dealers. So even if you have a Toyotathon happy city, if your region isn't doing super popular in terms of Toyota sales, the odds of your region getting the allocations they need with the GR Corolla and having a wide diverse range of different trims is very low. So while people are trying to downplay the anticipated demand, I have a feeling it's gonna be a pretty big demand, because everything is driving a demand right now. I don't know why, I don't know where, I don't know how, but people just wanna own and buy everything. Reminds me a little bit of 2007, but it's gonna be fine. And that is a problem. But if you do manage to get a hold of GR Corolla in the future, you're gonna wanna just give it to me. But second off, congratulations. The ability to modify these things will undoubtedly be huge for the community. And while the setups in the Circuit Edition are badass, there's no doubt there's room to grow in performance. You can already see it with Ryan Turk's drift car, and that should already be a testament to the car's prowess. And albeit modified, Toyota has done an excellent job with the recent releases of performance vehicles, as long as you're willing to swallow the price tag and the dealer mark. The question really comes down to the markup, comes down to if you can get it, and then of course, how is it actually gonna feel once you get around to drive it? But what do you think about the GR Corolla? Is it worth it, or is it pretty much hype only because people don't know what to do with their money these days and there's nothing else available besides 2006 Chevy 1500? Let us know below, and of course, if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex for Fitment Industries, and we will see you later. Peace.